Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Year Walk. This is a game that actually I've been wanting to play for a long time. It came out last year, and it originally came out on iOS, so it was available on newer generation iPhones, as well as, I believe, the iPad. And I'll admit that I'm one of those, old curmudgeons that has a little bit of prejudice against iOS games, largely because a lot of what typically dominates the App Store is kind of crap by my standards. Not to say those standards are better or worse, but it doesn't have the kind of games that I'm looking for the most part. But Year Walk was really acclaimed on a critical level from people that I really respect within the industry. So I wanted to check it out, and now it's a little bit more convenient, I should say, because it's available on Steam for $6, as well as being available in the App Store for $4. So a little bit of a premium markup, but much less than a lot of games that actually make it from the App Store to Steam and go from like $1 or $2 all the way up to $10, which is kind of crazy to me. In any case, what is Year Walk? It is a atmospheric, aesthetic-focused puzzle game to some extent, adventure game, I guess, is what you'd be more apt in calling it. And the gameplay is kind of unique in its constructs. It's a kind of game that I've never really played before in my entire life, really, and I can see how this totally works on iOS. It is a little bit more finicky on PC, but I can see how this could be a really novel kind of mechanic on iOS. So basically, the way that you play the game, and I apologize if this kind of like strafing is a little bit distorting to you, but the way that you play the game is that you're kind of a person that is walking through the environment and exploring, and you almost take like a Mario is missing approach to things, and you just kind of scroll left and right and look at the environment and see what's going on, and occasionally as you go through the environment, there will be paths that you can take, and those paths will lead you either up or down, and it's a little bit tough to see. You can see like there's a down arrow on the screen right now. As you get close to kind of like a path that you can take either upwards or downwards, then you will see an arrow which allows you to interact with it. You also use the mouse the same way you might use the touchpad on your iOS or Android device of choice, and you can kind of interact with objects in the environment. We'll see a little bit of that later, but not right now. So this is kind of like the prologue to Year Walk, and we'll get involved in some of the puzzles first, but this is really just teaching you kind of the way to play the game. I should point out, I played about 40 minutes of it. I looked up on how long to beat and on Steam reviews how long this is, because it struck me as kind of a short game, and it seems like 2 to 3 hours seems to be the norm. So if you're the kind of person who is not into this stuff, and I know a lot of people out there watching this probably will be, and that's totally okay, know right away what you're getting yourself into. And that this is not like a 15-hour-long adventure game where you're going to be using, like, combining objects in your inventory and then applying them to other objects in the environment and kind of painting the screen with your cursor. The puzzles, at least so far, have been fairly simplistic, but also fairly cool, I thought. And in particular, the big draw here is the aesthetic stuff and the story stuff as well, but also just kind of cool environmental atmosphere, if you will. And it's also, I should point out, a horror-ish game. At least in what I've played so far, there's been some decently scary moments that are effective both in kind of a chilling way and in kind of like a jump scare way. But in any case, we're going to start just by going into this windmill, and we'll have a little dialogue that will kind of set the stage for what happens here. And again, kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of Kentucky Route Zero, however you want to say it, in that it really does thrive on these kind of moments where the music and graphics kind of shine. But in any case, it's got a little bit of a silent movie quality here as well, so I'll do the voice acting and completely ruin the atmosphere. She says, "There you are, I've been waiting for you all day." I'm gonna click on her again. "You should not go outside without a hat on a cold day like this. You will freeze your ears off, and I'm quite fond of the person those ears belong to." Oh. "Did anyone see you coming here? Now you're being silly. You know that I'm not ashamed of you. It's not that. I like you very much, but you and I come from different worlds." He is waiting for my answer. I said I'd give it to him next year, and this is the last day of this year. So she's looking a little sad about that. I should point out, by the way, that this takes place, or kind of is evocative of the Swedish or Scandinavian idea, ancient idea of like year walking, which is a way of predicting the future, supposedly at least, by kind of starving and depriving yourself of water, and then kind of walking out into the wilderness at night and hoping that you kind of divine the future from that. I don't know if it's real or if it's a fictional construct, but the game sufficiently convinced me that it's real, so that's to its credit, I suppose. So she says, "I don't like it when you're like this. Calm down. Year walking? I hope you're joking. You do remember what happened to my cousin, don't you? Promise me you won't do anything foolish. We're not supposed to know what happens in the future. You should hurry home to your cottage and get some rest." And if we just keep clicking on her, she'll just keep telling us the same thing over and over. So, again, this is very much the prologue of the game. there is a map, and this map is extremely important when figuring out where the heck to navigate. So this, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just branching in like 1 or 2 possible ways, like per area, depending on where you enter. And, you know, we just have to get back to our cottage. So it can be helpful. I wish there was a hotkey for the map. There might be, but, you know, it's not M or tab, apparently, unless I have actually missed tab. Let's try that again. No, so it's a little bit of a clunky interface sometimes, I feel, because you're using like WASD or the arrow keys to strafe side to side, and then, you know, W takes you up and D takes you, or sorry, S takes you down. But then you have to get your mouse out and click on the map anyway. But we can reasonably be okay with this. We go down, right, down, down, up, down, and then down. Okay, so I'm not even going to remember that path. We shouldn't need to if I can just find kind of like the proper way. I will admit that it is a little bit cumbersome sometimes to try to like figure out where the heck you are supposed to go, and I've found myself getting lost more than you might expect for a game that's kind of, you know, you're just side-scrolling essentially here, but I think I've managed to find my way reasonably back to my cottage right now, but there is a little bit more kind of exploration stuff that happens as we get a little bit further along into the game. So I'm going to rest in my cottage here, and occasionally there are scripted moments where the game takes over. We're only going to play like 15 to 20 minutes here. We'll probably solve a couple of puzzles, mostly because I was specifically asked by the developer not to show off anything that happens too late into the game after a very specific point. So this is basically just kind of a cool way of introducing the title screen here. So just by clicking around, we can sort of, you know, use our echolocation or echolocation. Okay, maybe that might not work out too well, but to spell out year walk here. And there we go, and that should be all of the letters, and then those will change, and we'll enter. I mean, the implication is that prologue takes place in the real world, and then this takes place as we are year walking to try to figure out, you know, what's going to happen to us, and, you know, are we going to be able to marry the love of our life, etc., etc. So, what's interesting is that there are, you know, because this is an adventure game and there's puzzles involved, there is a hint system, and we're in the Huldra. This is the part of the game, part 1, and we can look at hints. Search for the church, and you'll find the church gate in the north. They very rarely in these hints, at least from what I've seen so far, go so far as to tell you, like, put item A into slot B. Usually the hints are a little bit vague enough in their own right, which is kind of nice, and, you know, I haven't found it super difficult in and of itself to beat any of the puzzles, so I like that there's a little bit of the kind of like ambiguity there. I'm not quite sure what's up with these yet. My hunch tells me that these are kind of ciphers, or, you know, it's like a code-based system, and this is basically our Rosetta Stone, or our Rosetta Tree, I guess, as it were. But I haven't really encountered any way to use this yet. But you should note that, you know, obviously that looks very similar to like a fetus, or, you know, a fetal type object. So things do get dark and kind of creepy and weird in the game. So I'm gonna look at our map briefly, because I have to get to an area that I know is the cemetery gate. So we're just gonna go right up, and then up, and then left up. I don't know if it's just my brain that has a hard time figuring this out. We go right up, left, up. Okay, so we go right, and then we should find a gate here to go up, and then it was right, up, left, up. Is that our last? Hey, it actually ended up working out there. Okay, so this is like puzzle 1, and this should go to show you, or not puzzle 1, but like segment 1 or part 1 of the game. And it should go to show you how quickly things move, and, you know, kind of justify, I guess, how short the game is, because we come to this gate here, and obviously we don't have a key for it, but we get introduced to someone who may have the key for it. And it's got kind of that, like, pagan, almost like Scandinavian kind of imagery to it. It's like a goat's head attached to the key. I don't know why that is evocative of that. It's like old shades of Diablo kind of rattling around in my head, I guess. But this tree lady has taken the key from us, and then we're going to have to find it. The game is big on not just, like, environmental type puzzle stuff, but also kind of auditory puzzle stuff. So, like, it's not just, you know, again, find the cipher and then type out, like, help me or something on some kind of, like, input device later. What we have to do here, actually, is follow some audio cues in order to figure out just where the heck the key is. And I think it's probably in the same place it was that I played it before, but I don't know that for a fact, but also I've forgotten where exactly that was. So we're going to have to do some exploration here. I'm actually going to turn my music up a little bit. Again, I think it's fair to say that Year Walk is a little bit similar to a game like Gone Home in many respects. It's short, and it's narrative focused, and it's one of those games where playing it for yourself, I think, is going to give you the absolute best experience. But it is also one of those games where not everybody is going to be into it. But you should know going into it what it is, so that you can, determine whether or not it's for you. So I hear like some very faint music. I hope that you guys can hear that as well. But it grows a little bit louder when we move into the proper sections of the map where it actually is. I think it has gotten a little louder over here. But to expedite the process, we could also just look for some hints. Also, by the way, I think this is the proper way. We can't do anything in that hut for now, so just ignore it. But if we go back to the windmill right now, unfortunately, our love is not there. So it's not like we can just go back and talk to her. So, and again, I don't know. This looks like a rotary telephone to me, but it's still got that like kind of goat heads motif there. I don't really know what to do with this yet, but it's a kind of an interesting puzzle, and it all feels very tactile and nice as well. I should point out, by the way, that this is from Simogo, who I believe is... Oh, it was a little louder over here, I think. Who I believe is also the developer of the highly acclaimed, again, iOS, but maybe it'll eventually come to PC, game Device 6, which I saw at GDC this year, but didn't actually have a chance to check out, but I saw that it had a booth. So I'm going to expedite the process here and spoil it a little bit and takes a couple of hints. So she holds the key, follow her song. That's kind of what I alluded to before. The Huldra waits in the far southeast, and we're already on part 2, so that's what I was trying to get at earlier, is that, each part could be 2 or 3 minutes, basically, if you know what you're doing. She waits in the far southeast. Southeast, that is the bottom right, and I had to do that because I am not good with navigation, so we want to get down to probably the woods and kiln, if I had to guess. So that would be like a down, left down. Oh, wait a minute. We have to get... Okay, it's actually left down. I apologize for this. Left down, down right. So let's try and see if my navigation has worked out well for me. Again, I feel like it would be a lot better for me if the map just had a hotkey associated with it. I don't think there's any way to change the key binding either. So it was like left down, left. Oh, I've got to look at my map again to see if I put myself in the wrong place. No, this is the right place. So we go right a little bit and then down. And the other complaint that I have is that on a small screen, like a phone or even an iPad, I could imagine the arrows being very easy to see, but it's very easy to miss them on like a 19 or 21 or 23 or, and so on monitor. So I do kind of find myself getting tunnel vision whenever I'm trying to find out where to go. I'll like scroll, and the game looks quite nice. It looks very artistic and unique and original. But when I'm like tunnel visioning to try to find out the solution to a puzzle, I just like look at the black bars at the top and bottom and scroll, and I'm like, oh, where's the arrow? Where's the arrow? So I think it still works fine on PC, at least from what I've played so far. But I don't know if it necessarily translates well, which is a positive and a negative. It's a positive, or I should say it's a negative because now it's out on PC, and I'm playing it on the PC, so maybe I'm not getting the as intended experience, but it is also cool that there are games that, just work well on iOS and are designed on and for iOS, and they're not all just, necessarily, really, I'm not using casual as a bad word, but they're not all just, like, really casualized, like, time wasters, basically. I think that's kind of neat. I think it was around here that we're actually supposed to be. She might be... Hey, there she is. Okay. I should warn you that there may or may not be a scare coming up. I don't want anyone to have a heart attack if you are absolutely... and I'm not trying to also build up that anticipation, like, oh, get ready to watch, it's gonna happen, like, 720p, no-scope scare-through. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that if you're the kind of person who gets really freaked out by stuff like that, keep in mind that it is coming here as Elizabeth Banks from the Hunger Games fades from existence, and we have to follow her, basically. Again, it's a very thoughtful game, a very patient game, and even though I've mentioned that it moves fast, it's very deliberate in its pacing. This is not, you're not shooting 10 guys per screen or anything like that, of course. So she will fade out here, and we will be able to take another path upwards. And then I think she does basically exactly the same thing and opens up a new area for us. So she's going to go over to the right side here, and we'll have like one major puzzle. I know there hasn't been a puzzle yet, and people are like, oh, where are the puzzles? Where are the puzzles? I'll show you a puzzle, okay? And it's a puzzle that I like because it's kind of an old adventure game trope, but I like it nonetheless. So I'm going to come up here, And you can see we've come to an area with a couple of owls, as well as, I forget the name that we were using for this lady. The Huldra, okay. So I don't know, again, if Huldra is like an old Scandinavian or Swedish thing. I believe this is Sweden focused, but I keep saying Scandinavia just kind of to cover my own butt. You can see, we can click on the owls, and each one of them registers a different pitch. As you might expect if you've played adventure games before in your life, these represent a little bit of a gate mechanism. So what we are going to do is we have to find an area, and I'm not going to use hints for this because I don't think I actually need to use hints for this part. Is there a shed over here? There is. Okay, this is where things get a little bit creepy, so again, I apologize. But basically, by using this doll's head, we can sort of wind it up. I guess we gotta, like, take it all the way down to the bottom there. And to wind it up appropriately. Hey, there we go. And the doll does a little bit of a dance, and you can see if you look in the background, not to spoil the genius of the design here, but there's like 2 owls in the background, and it's pointing at them, so it's actually telling us the pattern that we need in order to get through that door. So it's LR, LR, R, it's left, right, right, with another right associated with it. I hope you're probably sufficiently creeped out now. And then one left, and another left. So that's the same every single time. And when it comes around for the last time, oh god, yeah, lots of bad stuff happening to kids, or not even kids, in the game. But anyway, we want left, right, 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 left, and that will be the ticket that we need to open this door. So let's try it. Left, right, right, left. And that will open this door, and that is where I'm gonna call it quits for my let's look at of your walk. Oh, that is getting quite loud. Suffice to say, it gets sufficiently more creepy, sufficiently more surreal and unsettling and eerie as you get further and further in. If you're the kind of person who is okay with playing a short, atmospheric, narrative adventure title with some serious horror elements in it, I would advise you to check it out. It's $6 on Steam, $4 on iOS. I'm not gonna get too ornery about the price difference. Again, I've done that in the past, but it doesn't strike me as an egregious example, whereas a lot of games that, you know, end up being priced at like $1 on the App Store due to pressures there come out at like $10 on Steam because that's the price on Steam. I think $4 to $6 is a much more reasonable kind of increase given the fact that you're playing it on a bigger screen, essentially, with your own comfort and not just on the bus. But anyway, there will be a link in the video description below to pick this up on Steam if you're interested. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I will finish it, but I think I could see myself finishing it for sure. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed it, enjoyed the episode, and if you did, make sure to check out the game on Steam, and of course, make sure to click the like button. It helps out a great deal, and of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.